Hello to all you amazing trailblazers out there. If you are a coach or a consultant or a combination of the two, like myself, you struggle with trying to figure out how do you keep your clients on track and deliver the impact and results you promised. For me, those are very important topics and focuses. And look, I mean, what most of us do after we get off of a call with a client is we send them a recap of the conversation with a list of things that were discussed and outlining the actions or the steps that they committed to performing before your next meeting, right? And if you have a digital note taker, I personally use Fathom. It's free, it works great. But a digital note taker is an amazing tool to use as well, because now you have the meeting transcript and you can produce that recap much faster. And there are other things that you can do by analyzing your transcripts. But that is for another conversation. So you send them the meeting recap, and it includes a list of things that they need to do before your next call. And then what happens? Well, usually there's a gap between when you met with them and the next call. Maybe you are, checking in with them via email in between calls just to see how things are progressing, if they need any help. But most coaches and consultants don't do that. They leave their clients to their own devices, because I get it. The thought process is my clients are adults. I shouldn't need to micromanage them, and I'm not going to micromanage them, right? They're grown-ups and they know what they should be doing. And if they really want to grow their business or get the results that we've identified, then they'll do the things they've agreed to do. Okay. And you might even go one step further, whether or not you verbalize it publicly or to your inner circle or not. But your mind might wander into the arena of they're just lazy. And that's why they don't do the things that they say they're going to do, or they're not disciplined enough. But I would argue the fact that they are disciplined enough. They have a business. I mean, it takes discipline to even get a business started, let alone up and off the ground and moving in the direction of growth and profits. So I don't think it's an issue of self-discipline. And I don't believe it's an issue of being lazy either. I also don't think people like to be micromanaged. And personally, I am horrible at micromanaging people. It's always been a weakness of mine, even in my previous life in the corporate sector. I was really bad about micromanaging my team. So, I don't want to micromanage people either. But I think it's more an issue of they don't understand how to do the things they've committed to doing. And when they're in like the energy of the collaborative, environment you're creating for them, and you're brainstorming ideas and they're feeling really good and energized, like they're going to conquer the world, they don't think about the nuts and bolts or the practical application of the conversation you're having with them. But then they sit down at their desk, they get your email, they look at the list, and more often than not, they use sort of an avoidance technique because it feels very overwhelming, very daunting, and they're not really sure how to do the things they said they would do. So you get to the next call, right? And you ask for an update and what they got done and how that worked out for them. And they say things like, well, I got really busy and I didn't get a chance to work on those things. Or, you know, um, your email got buried in my inbox and it totally slipped my mind, or whatever the case may be. But they throw down a lot of excuses as to why they didn't do the things they were supposed to do. And again, I don't think this is an issue of laziness or stupidity. I think it's an issue of they don't know the how, right? It all sounds great and all, when you're talking about it, and it all looks amazing on paper. But then when the reality sets in and they have to actually do the thing, they get stuck. And maybe they get stuck in going down rabbit holes trying to figure out the best way to get it done. Maybe they get stuck in not even knowing where to start. It's hard to say. And usually in programs that I've been in, coaches and consultants aren't asking the questions. What they do is they kind of focus on, okay, so I really need you to do these things, right? Maybe you share the logic behind it and whatnot. And then again, it's the same process. They get the meeting recap with the list of things that they agreed to do before your next call. And you end up in this weird cycle with them of them not ever really doing what it is they say they're going to do. So how do you avoid that? How can you help your clients stay on track and deliver the impact and the results that you promised? Well, I have a potential solution for that. And what this program does is it allows you to, if you're working one-on-one with a client, for example, you would sit down with your client and you would map out the goals, the benchmarks, what it is that they want to achieve in working with you. Then you have the ability to load specific action steps. So if you can think of like a checklist for each of those benchmarks, milestones, and goals, that's what you provide to your client. So what does this do? This gives them the how. So now they know exactly step 1, step 2, and so on to get them closer to their goal and achieving the results you promised you could deliver. And you can go into your dashboard and see if they're doing the work, if they're checking the things off. And if they aren't, and it's been a few days, then this is your opportunity to be proactive with your client and say, hey, you were doing really well, and it seems like maybe you got stuck. Can you let me know if there's something I can do to help you get this next step done? Do you need access to resources? Do we need to talk about it in more detail in our next meeting? Things like that. The byproduct of this system is that you also end up with social proof, right? So not just testimonials, not just you saying that you've done it. Now you have the statistics, the data behind it, using this program to show that you have put this many people through your coaching program and this many people succeeded, like went through to completion. And then for those that didn't successfully complete your program, you also have an opportunity to dig into what were the obstacles that bubbled up to the surface for them. And that gives you the opportunity to improve your program. And for your client, it gives them the how. And you can put, videos or links to resources or articles or, whatever in there to help them understand how to do each of these steps if it needs more instruction. But again, I think the beauty of it is that it cuts through the confusion and the overwhelm for the client. And now you have some way to sort of hold each other accountable. And your system and the way you're working with them is transparent. So you have that transparency that is just so important, and the accountability that is very important. Plus, you're collecting the data, right? To show that you can do what you say you can do. And that piece, that component is going to become more and more important as we move through this year and the next year and in coming years. Because after the last 4 years, people are starting to wake up and recognize that there are a lot of people out there that talk a good game. They tell us what we want to hear. They know what we want to hear. And they know sort of how to browbeat you or guilt you into paying for their programs. And maybe you don't think your sales tactic does that. But if you're using things like, well, I can see the potential in you and I have confidence in your ability to do this. If you believed in yourself, you would make this investment in yourself. This is you making an investment in yourself and an investment in your company. And so, this is proving that you believe in yourself. Conversations like that, I personally don't believe that they belong in a conversation between us and our clients. If they aren't ready to move forward, then they aren't ready to move forward. And yes, it can get very frustrating when you're a coach or consultant because you see their potential and you know where they're stuck. And every time you see them at a networking event or whatever the case may be, they're talking about the same challenge over and over and over again. And you're like, if you would just take my advice, if you would just work with me, I could get you past that obstacle and get you on the other side of that sticky tar pit so that you can start experiencing results and growth in your business. But as a front office manager in one of the hotels I worked with many years ago used to say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So when they're ready, they're ready. And guilting them into it is a surefire way for them to feel very unfulfilled, bitter, resentful, and just plain angry if they don't get the results you promised. And yes, sometimes it's because they don't do the work. But my theory is, it isn't that they don't want to do the work. It's that they don't know the how of that work. So it's our job and our responsibility to equip them with the resources, the tools, the expertise, the know-how, the knowledge, the guidance to teach them the how to swim in the deep end, how to take flight when they leave the nest, how to do the things that lead to business growth and success. So here is my challenge to you. If this is something you've struggled with as a coach or a consultant, and you genuinely want a way to help your clients stay on track, and you want the accountability and transparency of being able to deliver results and impact and see for yourself and in a way that they can see their progress, then this program is one I think will work for you. If honesty, integrity, transparency, impact, and delivering what you promise is important to you, then this solution might be the right fit for you. And if it sounds like something you want to learn more about, drop me an email, Kristen@boldmovesboss.com, and I'll tell you more about it. I'm not going to try to sell you on it. I'm merely going to tell you how it works and show you what it looks like. If it's a good fit, great. If it's not, great. But at least you'll know it's out there as an option. And maybe down the road, you'll decide to incorporate it as a tool in your coaching and consulting business. So that's what I have for you today. I will catch you on the flip side. And in the meantime, get out there, do what sets your soul on fire, blaze that trail, baby, because this world needs your light, and it needs your light so that you can light the way for others to follow in your footsteps and bring their dreams into reality like you have. I'll talk to you soon. This is Kristen with Bold Moves Boss, and I say get out there and do it. Set your soul on fire. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll talk to you soon.